So it looks like they have to join in.
All right, we'll give a few minutes for people to go ahead and join. And yeah, so let's go ahead and do some introductions here. My name is Daniel Ely, and I am Chief Product Officer here at Tai Software. And Tim, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Tim Lucas. I am the Senior Product Manager and bring both years of experience in running freight brokerages, software development, and working with the Tai team.
All right, Johan.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Johan. I am Tai's product advocate. I do a lot of work on feedback from our customers, from our brokers, to improve our TMS documentation and a lot more. So very nice to have everybody here.
All right, Chris.
Hey guys, my name is Chris Vinciguerra. I am the Principal Product Engineer at Tai. Basically, I just make sure everything goes out okay and work with our vision and stuff like that. I'm happy to see you all here and excited to show you our new features.
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting. Q1 has flown by, and but we're really excited about what we've been building, and a lot of this has been things that we've been building based on feedback that we get from our clients. Really, we get a lot of this information from our user conferences, and if you haven't signed up for that, please check that out. It's a really powerful way to get information across to us and ensure that we're listening to you guys and making sure that we're working on things that matter. So let's see here. I can't see how many people we've actually got in the.
62.
Looks like, yeah, I was gonna say we got 62. It's at the bottom.
All right. Pretty good. We had about 200 people, almost roughly 200 people register. So we'll give a few more minutes or things to get for people to log on before we kick it off. But actually, Tim, what's been one of your favorite things about Q1?
So my favorite thing about Q1 is we've gotten a chance to work on this flexibility initiative. And so I'm sure you're going to hear that a lot through this webinar, but flexibility has been the core driving feature that we've been after. Is how do we give some control back to the brokers that use the TMS to basically get what they need out of the TMS without us making changes to serve each and every broker individually. You're going to see a lot of features today that let brokers make some tweaks and some changes to their workflows for their benefit, while still maintaining the core use of the TMS and the way that we've designed it to be used. So I'm super excited about all of the customization options that are going to be available.
Exactly. That's exactly it. We want to be able to be flexible and no dev, right? Like no dev required type of thing.
Yeah.
Of course, if you are connecting to our system via our APIs, which has been another initiative of ours, really making a robust set of APIs. If you're connecting up to those, though, the flexibility that we're introducing today is available there, and makes it so that you can use it to its full extent. So with that being said, I think we'll get going, and we'll go ahead and get started with the first feature that we are going to be introducing. And all right, so this new feature is it's custom shipment alerts. So this is a powerful way for brokers to stay ahead of issues with customizable shipment alerts and adapt to their workflow, right? We want to make sure that with shipment alerts, it's flexible enough that you can execute to your own business logic, right? Like, what is it about? What's the secret sauce, of each broker that makes them unique and makes them do what they do well? This allows them to introduce that flexibility and make it work. So we've done a lot of that of the work to give customers more control. Chris, do you want to talk a little bit about like why alerts were specifically a priority for us?
Well, yeah, we've been in this industry a long time, and we've got a lot of people who know a lot of things, but we don't know everything. And you're, like Daniel said, your workflows are yours. And while in the past we've said, hey, there's the Tai way, and now the Tai way is your way too. You get to take our way and then include any new documents you need reference numbers for, or alerts for, or workflow automations. All this stuff you can do with these new custom alerts and increase your productivity.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So Johan's put a lot of work into the videos that you're going to see today, and we're excited to show these to you guys. These videos are going to really introduce the feature and explain and walk through how each part of that works. So, Johan, if you can go ahead and let the first one go.
Let's walk through custom shipment alerts. These are a great way to stay on top of your shipments by flagging anything that needs special attention. Basically, custom shipment alerts let you highlight shipments based on rules that you define, whether it's a reminder, a heads up for your team, or a way to kick off the next step in a process. These alerts help you stay proactive. For example, we're going to set up an alert that reminds the team to wait for customers' approval before moving forward with a shipment. To start, go to the LSP tab and click on Shipment Alerts. That'll take you to the Alerts Management screen. From here, you can create new alerts or tweak the ones you already have. You'll see a list of standard system alerts, master alerts, and the custom ones your team has already built. To add new ones, click Add Alerts. Easy enough. That opens up the alert configuration screen. We'll call this one Pending Quote. The idea here is that it's a visual reminder we're waiting on the customer before taking the next step. You can pick an icon to go with the alert, something easy to spot in a shipment list. For this one, we're using cross finger icon, which feels right for something that's pending confirmation. There are a few icon styles to choose from: brands, classic, duotone, sharp, so you can match whatever visual style works best for your team. You can also customize the color using palette or hex codes, which is handy if you want to match your company's color. Now, you got some options for where the alert shows up. You can display it in the customer portal in your front office, or keep it internal for your back office, that's your LSP staff members. If you want, you can also enable auto resolve, which means the alert will clear itself once the shipment is delivered. That keeps things tidy so you're not stuck clearing all the alerts manually. Once everything looks good, just hit save. The alert is now live and ready to be used, manually or as part of an automation. To apply manually, just go to any shipment detail screen and add the alert from there. Once added, it will show up in the shipment alert section, giving your team a visual cue to act on. You can also use alerts to filter your shipments, whether it's on company load board, shipment search, or even inside workflow automation. Now, speaking of workflow automation, there's a cool use case. We got a workflow that kicks in when the pending quote alert is clear. First, the system checks that the alert exists. Once it's gone, the system automatically updates the status to committed and assigns the shipment to the carrier rep team. Here's how it looks in action. We got a shipment with a pending quote alert. We resolve the alert, the system detects it, and boom, it updates the status to committed and assigns the shipment to the carrier rep team. This kind of automation keeps your team aligned and ready to move without all the back and forth, which is faster, cleaner, and helps everything flow so much smoother.
All right, Johan, thank you so much for that video. That's I really like how it shows really the power of what custom shipment alerts can do for each broker that's using it. In fact, I'm actually pretty excited about what our partners are doing with it too. Highway's working on an integration right now that will use custom alerts that are specific to the Highway integration that can then work alongside workflow automation to execute a task when a certain condition arises. So really excited about the potential that custom shipment alerts has. Anybody have any follow-up that they want on that?
Yeah, these are so cool. I think a couple things that were in the video that I just want to highlight again are, you can imagine that new alerts is a very common request that we got all the time. We were always getting different requests for different alerts for different reasons. And traditionally that would take up dev resources or dev time and take us off of other features that we wanted to work on to add new alerts. Well, now that you can just add them yourself, it's totally up to you what you need when you need it. You can do it right now, and it won't take us away from other things that we're working on or that we're putting dev resources into. But the fact that you can customize the icons and the colors, make it so that things will stand out, things are going to look great in the system, easy to recognize, and you can hide them from customers. You can do that auto resolve feature that was mentioned, and these are available everywhere. So we've not just worked on making the alerts customizable, but make sure that they're available everywhere you're going to need them. So via workflow automations, custom report builders, in your saved filters on all of your search pages. So just super awesome way to help manage your business. And definitely don't forget about how you can use alerts in combination with workflow automations. I'm really excited for the user conference so that we can hear how everybody's using the custom alerts, what kind of alerts have been created, and how they're helping workflow automations.
Exactly. In fact, at TIA, we were speaking with Daisy over at Concept, and how she has actually set this up and right away just hit the ground running with being able to customize those alerts and make sure that her operations teams are working efficiently and effectively. Okay, so let's go on to the next feature. We're gonna stick with this flexibility topic, and this is the introduction of custom shipment reference numbers. Now, we finished this in Q1. However, we did find a couple instances where we need to tweak this feature just a bit. So there are some follow-up items that are being done right now that is going to allow us to execute this. But it does flow with our flexibility topic. And so we wanted to make sure that we talk about it today so that we can really discuss, all of the features as a whole, as a concept of what flexibility is. So custom shipment reference numbers. This one's all about flexibility. What kind of feedback from brokers pushed us in this direction? Tim, if you want to answer that, or Chris?
Yeah, I feel like I could repeat so many of the same things that we just talked about with alerts on this topic. I mean, it's clearly part of the same initiative, but really it's the ultimate flexibility. We get requests all the time for new reference numbers. Everyone seems to have their own set of reference numbers that are crucial to their business and that they can't live without. And if we just added every reference number that everybody wanted, it would be this infinitely messy, unusable list of reference numbers where you probably only cared about 20% of them or less. So this gives you that control that you get exactly what you need without us sort of muddying the list across our entire broker base.
Right. And Vinny, what kind of use cases do you think this unlocks that weren't possible before?
Well, I mean, if you have customers with custom requirements, I need this reference number. You can go down to that customer. You can create a reference number that's really only available to them. You could say it's required for this guy. And now they have the ability to just, use that reference number, and it's in their language. So that's important to some customers.
Yeah, and we'll see in the video where you can set it up. But if you could remind me the different levels that you can set this at. It's at the customer level, shipment level, broker level.
For the setup, obviously for the setup, you can create it. You can go to the customer, you can go to their reference numbers, and you can customize their reference numbers. You can go to your accounting level, you can customize your references at your accounting level, and in any organization in between. So if one of your agents has a requirement for a reference number, you can give it to them for them shipments, and then it's accessible to everybody in the shipment. So,
so custom shipment reference numbers available in the system throughout the TMS, available via APIs as well. Full customization of this is a very powerful tool that can really make things happen for a broker. Johan, go ahead and let's get the video.
Let's walk through custom reference numbers. These let you add your own unique info to shipments right alongside the standard reference numbers in the TMS. Think of them as flexible tags or fields you create to track exactly what matters to your team, whether it's something internal, something your customer needs, or just an extra detail you want to include. You can use these reference numbers throughout a shipment and even include them in documents so the right info always ends up in the right place. Let's jump into how to set it up. Start by heading to the LSP tab, then click on the shipment reference numbers. That opens up the management page where you can view all existing custom reference numbers or add new ones. To create a new one, just hit add reference number. First, choose where you want it to live, your current organization, a customer, or a sub-organization. You can set it wherever it makes sense for your structure. Then give it a name, something clear and helpful like warehouse approval code or freight transaction ID. We'll keep it simple for this example and create one called Tai customer number. Next, choose the data type. You got a bunch of options here like currency, date and time, decimal, email, phone number, or just a free text string if you want total flexibility. You can decide who sees it too. Want customers to see it in the portal? Enable front office. Want to keep it internal? Just stick with the back office. Then there's the reference type. This determines where the field shows up, either on the shipment level, the stop level, or the commodity level. Once the reference number is saved, you'll see it show up right where you expect. To use it, head into a shipment. In the shipment details, you will see an option to add reference numbers. Just select it, type in the value you want, and click the check marks to save. You can also edit existing reference numbers from here. For example, maybe you want to change offer rate to $1,000. Easy, just click into it and make your update. And you're not limited to the detail screen. You can also add these during shipment creation or editing. Whatever you're used to managing shipment info, your custom fields will be available. And that's it. Custom reference numbers give you full flexibility to track the exact data you care about across shipments, stops, and commodities, and keep your team and customers on the same page.
That is pretty awesome. And looking in the chat, we're really looking forward to it too. It's going to be a very powerful tool. And I love what we're actually seeing with this. In fact, if you noticed in the demo, the inline edit, that's another area that we're looking at. Expanding throughout the TMS, but making it available and customizable is one of the things that we're really excited about. All right, so let's go on to our next feature, and this is the new carrier rules engine. And let's see here if we can get the. Okay. All right, cool. Whoever's mic is on, let's go ahead and mute. With carrier rules. All right, carrier rules, we are taking a feature that we had written initially specifically for LTL, but expanding it. And now it's available on both the truckload side and the LTL side and pretty much any shipment type. So, Tim, do you want to walk us through a little bit of why we wanted to build this and how it pertains to the flexibility concept?
Yeah, this is really exciting for a couple of reasons. So you already touched on it. If you're familiar with our carrier rating permissions, that was sort of the origination of this. Carrier rating permissions wasn't necessarily just for LTL, but obviously when we're talking about rating, that's the majority of what's going to be covered. And you had some options for including and excluding certain carriers based off of regions so that when you're generating rates, those carriers may or may not show up. Our system today is almost a 50-50 split exactly of LTL and truckload. And so as we looked to expand this tool, one of the things that we wanted to consider was not just carrier rating, but carrier assignment. So there's kind of a couple changes wrapped up in this. One is that what you traditionally knew as carrier rating permissions now works on carrier assignments as well. So if you have those include and exclude rules set up, you don't have to generate a rate for that to take effect. You actually cannot assign carriers that have been excluded or don't qualify to be added to that shipment. And then, of course, to add to that, it's many more rules that can be created and at different levels. So you're going to see here in just a minute that you can create these rules not just at the customer level, but also at the broker level so that you can have some rules that apply to your entire organization. But you're going to see a lot of new features, things like compliance related topics. Could be coverage amounts, could be that they are part of our marketplace. You'll get to see some examples of all the different rule options that are available. And you'll see that this is going to replace carrier rating permissions and is a much more fully realized set of rules to manage your carriers, regardless of the mode of transportation.
Exactly. So it's like it gives us the ability to allow brokers to enforce standards, reduce operational risk, and really make it at a level where it's flexible at the customer level, at the organization level, and ensure that compliance is met. Compliance has been a really hot topic. I mean, it's been a hot topic for a while, and we continue to take in user feedback and look at different ways that we can allow that to happen natively in the TMS. Okay, so let's why don't we walk through this, or let's watch the video on this feature and then check it out.
Let's take a look at carrier rules, a feature that gives you control over which carriers can be selected on your shipments. You can create rules that apply to your whole organization, a specific customer, or even a sub-organization. These rules allow you to include or exclude carrier based on key criteria like shipment types, regions, tariffs, compliance, and more. So let's begin. To access carrier rules, go to the LSP tab and click Carrier Rules. The first thing you'll see is a list of existing rules and the option to create a new one. So let's click on Add Carrier Rule. When creating a rule, you'll first choose the level it applies to, organization, customer, or suborg. Then you define the criteria. Here are the options. Carriers. This is a filter to include or exclude a specific carrier. Permission setting, include or exclude. Shipment types, apply rules to LTL, truckload, and other shipment types. Regions, filter by origin or destination region. Carrier labels, use labels from carrier profiles to group and filter. Tariffs, include or exclude specific tariffs. Marketplace, include or exclude marketplace rates either globally or for a single customer. You can also apply compliance filters, like require active authority, safety, and packet. You can also set a general liability minimum and enable cargo liability require, which compares the carrier's coverage to the shipment's declared value. So let's walk through two quick examples for LTL and truckload. First, an LTL rule for a specific customer will exclude all marketplace tariffs. I'll pick Marine Solution as the customer, set the permission to exclude, select LTL, and check the Is Marketplace options and save the rule. Now let's test it. Here's a shipment with rates generated before the rule. You can see there's a lot of marketplace options. I'll regenerate the rates. Now only non-marketplace tariffs are available. So that's perfect. That's what I want. Next, a truckload rule for the whole organization will include only carriers that meet compliance requirements for authority, safety, packet, and cargo liability. I'll set the rule to apply to truckload and turn on all those compliance flags and save it. Let's try it on a truckload shipment. First, without a declared value, we see 3 carriers that meet all compliance requirements. Now, I'll move up and set declared value at 110,000. After researching for a carrier, we see only 1 carrier remains. It has enough cargo liability coverage. You can check this in the carrier's profile. Now, you're probably wondering about truckload quoting. So, for truckload quoting, non-compliant carriers will still appear, but they will be blocked with an icon explaining why. So, basically, this is how it will look. You'll see the list of carriers, and you will only be able to select carriers that meet the requirements in the carrier rule. The rest will be blocked with this red icon. So carrier rules gives you complete control over carrier selection, so your users will always work with compliant preferred carriers. And since there's flexibility by customer, shipment type, and more, you can fine-tune rules to match your exact operation. And that's carrier rules in action.
All right, that was pretty awesome. Really like that demo. It really shows the strength of what carrier rules can do, how you can apply it. And there's a lot of different combinations that we didn't even show here, but there's a lot that you can do with this particular new feature. And I wish Johan could he's a little bit under the weather. That's why I haven't been picking on him to talk about these things. But just no, not ignoring you. So Tim, You want to talk a little bit more about the carrier rules engine as well?
Yeah, I wanted to mention two things that we didn't talk about in the intro. You could see them in the video, but going back to kind of the way carrier rules works versus the way carrier rating permissions work. One change is going to be that carriers are no longer required. So it used to be that in order to have a carrier rating permission, it had to be attached to a carrier. But because of the introduction of all of these other rule criteria, you might want a rule that applies to many carriers. So you don't have to provide a carrier attached to the rule anymore. So you can sort of create these blanket rules. The other thing you can do differently, which was sort of a limitation of the rating permissions, is that before you weren't allowed to add includes and excludes at the same time. But because now we have all of this extra criteria, it's possible that that is a valid combination, especially when you look at things like different regions or different shipment types. So just note that you will be able to create rules that have both include logic and exclude logic together. You're just going to have to make sure that in your stack of rules from the broker level down to the customer level, you don't create too many rules that result in not finding any carriers. So there's not going to be anything that says, hey, because of all these rules, there's no carriers anymore. You'll just see that there are no carriers available. So just note those changes, how powerful this is to enforce compliance across your organization. But if you end up in a place where you're not seeing carriers anymore, you might want to revisit those rules and just make sure that you don't have any conflicting rules there that are preventing carriers from showing up at all.
Yeah, absolutely. With great power comes great responsibility, right? So,
and another part of that is we are looking at a tool to help you guys with that kind of research when you're saying, hey, this carrier doesn't show up for this customer for this lane. We're going to put a tool in there that allows you to put that information in there and display it. But
yeah, basically answer why it didn't do what it needed to. Thanks, Vinny. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to carrier scorecards. Oh, sorry about that. It was region management. So as you saw in the tool that we just looked at with the carrier rules, region management was one of the things that was in there. If you noticed, it was origin and then destination. So we took the origin destination tool, well, really regions, out of tariffs, and really started expanding that into other areas of the system. We had seen it earlier on in the LSP carrier profile, being able to set, what lanes a particular carrier works with. So, but what we found was that region management was just very, very difficult to use. It was very cumbersome. It was a thing that support used very, very frequently on the back end, but like customers didn't need to use it as much. But so for that reason, it was very cumbersome. But we took a limited feature and then just transformed it into something a lot more flexible, a centralized tool for managing geographic regions across the TMS. So, Tim, this might have been like a small feature at first glance, but we made we've seen it make a huge impact. Can you explain a little bit about what makes the new region management so powerful?
Yeah, sure. So you kind of hinted at this, but regions are not a new thing to our system. Regions have been part of our system basically since day one, definitely for close to 15 or more years type of a thing. But what is different is the visibility and the access that you have to regions. So regions are pretty pervasive between our application across things like tariffs, workflow automations, the broker carrier profiles, and then now the carrier rules. So having access to them in so many places means you need to be able to find them, view them, manage them. Now having that central place where you can make those changes, it's definitely cleaned up some problems that we had in the past when you might have been trying to manage them directly through the tariff process only, and then you end up with duplicate regions or maybe unclear whether or not you're editing a region or adding a new region. Now it's in one place, super easy to search through your regions, make the changes you need to make, and control these things again across all of those different places we talked about, specifically the new carrier rules and workflow automations.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So be on the lookout for the handout that comes after the webinar, and you'll have a link there that'll take you to our knowledge base, and you can look into region management a bit more. Any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to support, and we can show you how to use that one. So we'll go ahead and transition to the next topic, which is carrier scorecards. Now, carrier scorecards we've had in the system for some time, and we've got I think I want to say 3 phases of carrier scorecards. So we're now in the 3rd phase of carrier scorecards, and this is all about really adding a lot more enforcement of carrier scorecards. So with carrier scorecards, getting actionable, consistent, actionable feedback is something on carrier performance is something that's very like it's difficult to do, right? So we have the questions, the audit questions that are available that are also fully customizable, and but it was very optional whether you answered them or not. So now at different stages of a shipment life cycle, for example, the moving to in transit or moving to delivered, we can have the questions pop up, and then it forces the operations team to just answer what the what the performance was during the shipment life cycle, and just audit that information. But now capturing that, especially at the time when it happened, it's very powerful because it allows you to really take in all that information, collect it, and then be able to do something with it later, which is the reporting side of it. So like let me see here. We know brokers care a lot about holding carriers accountable. But Tim, I'll ask you, what's changed with scorecards that's going to make this a lot better?
Yeah, so I think the most obvious change is that ability to require questions. So one thing that was happening is some brokers were creating some really awesome questions, but then they just weren't being answered. Well, now you have that ability to require in order to make a status change to a shipment. Let's say you're going to mark it as delivered, that you have to answer certain questions in order to do that. And that's going to give you way better data to rate that carrier in the future. Now, there's still going to be some automated workflows in the system. And how do we handle that? You could have something that automatically marks something as delivered, and there's not a user present to be confronted with the question. So we added things in workflow automations, like when a status changes, there's a filter to check if a question was skipped or a question was missed so that you can create an assignment for somebody to go back and backfill that data later. So you've got the ability to require questions. You've got some extra support and workflow automations to track if something gets missed or skipped for any reason. And then the last thing is we've given more visibility into the data in the form of custom reports. In custom reports, you're going to find a whole bunch of columns related to carrier scorecards that you can use to build out reports for your different carriers and shipments. And then also on the broker carrier pages, you're going to get actual detailed data along with the summary data that was previously available.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Can't wait to see how people start using this and the data that they can collect with it, and then create action around that. Return business with carriers is of utmost importance. Making sure that you are working with those carriers, you've got that relationship with the carriers, and you want that return business. So this type of feature allows you to capture that information and then do something with it. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, and we are going to be talking about global payments. So global payments is an integration that we've had for quite some time, and but we're going to take this one now to the next level. And we've been hearing this quite a bit from our clients about really protecting margin. Like having the convenience of being able to pay by credit card and having the workflows in place that allow brokers to enable the shippers to go ahead and pay those things on times. It's all about like capturing or ensuring cash flow, right? Like ensuring that you have the tools in place that you need to make that happen. So, but capturing that processing fee is one of the key features that we've added to this workflow. So, like I said, it's payment processing. It's not new to Tai, but this update does add some major upgrades. Tim, like I would ask you, how does this help protect margin and improve the billing experience as well?
So I think the simplest answer to that is the ability to add processing fees. So something that we had been asked about for a long time. It's a pretty common thing. I think we've all experienced it in one place or another, that when you're paying by a credit card, sometimes there's an added fee. That we've now got the ability to automatically include that. And so you can go to an accounting profile, you can set up sort of a default processing fee amount for your credit card customers. And then whether you're processing the payment in the back office or allowing the customer to process that payment directly in the front office, that fee can automatically be applied anytime a credit card payment is being processed. And so you can get those few percentage points back, and they're not ultimately coming out of your margin.
Right. So frictionless payments, complete control over processing fees. I think that's what makes this feature really a real good one that I hope people can take advantage of. All right, Johan, let's go ahead and check out this video.
Let's take a look at our global payments integration. This feature allows you to receive payments from your end customers via credit card or bank account, making the payment process much easier for everyone involved. We'll start from the customer's profile to see how to set things up once the integration is in place. Inside the customer's profile, head to the accounting profile. Here you'll define how payments and invoicing are handled for this customer. Under credit status, select Continue Credit Card to activate the integration for this customer. You'll also have a few automation options to choose from, like auto invoice at committed. This means the car is charged as soon as the shipment is marked committed. Auto invoice at delivered, the car is charged once the shipment is marked delivered. These settings help you adapt to different customer relationships. For a new customer, you might use auto invoice at committed and allow them to enter payment details through the customer portal, so the payments are just made right away as soon as they commit to the shipment. For a long-time trusted customer, you might skip automation and let them pay at their convenience. It really depends on your workflow. You can also enable credit card processing fee. For example, a 3% fee will automatically be added to the invoice amount if the customer pays by card. So let's talk about a couple examples. Scenario 1, auto invoice at committed. In this example, we've enabled continual credit card and auto invoice at committed with a 3% processing fee. We'll jump into the customer portal, duplicate an existing shipment, and walk through the booking process. Once we click Book Shipment, the global payments modal will appear. Customers can add a new credit card or bank account or choose from previously saved payment methods. They'll see the 3% processing fee, the shipment total, and the combined total before clicking Charge Credit Card. Now back into the TMS, we can look at the shipment, and under cost calculations, we'll see the invoice is marked as paid. Now in the accounting tab, payment history, we can review the full breakdown, including the invoice amount, the 3% fee, and the final total charged. Now for scenario 2, auto invoice at delivered. Next, we'll update a customer's profile to use auto invoice at delivered. Now we'll take an existing shipment and just mark it delivered. Once that status is updated, the TMS will automatically process the payment using the customer's saved method. And again, we can confirm in payment history that the payment was processed, showing the invoice total, fee, and the full amount. Finally, let's talk about customers who prefer to pay manually through the customer portal. To enable this, go to the customer staff profile and check the Pay Invoice permission. Now, when they log into the customer portal, they'll see a credit card payment option under the Reports and Tools. Here, they can select one or more shipments and proceed with payments, choosing an existing payment method or adding a new one. Just like before, they'll see the processing fee and shipment total before charging the card. And those payments will appear in the TMS with the same visibility and breakdown as automated payments. So that's how the global payments integration works in Tai. Whether you want to automate invoicing, give your customers control, or charge at specific shipments milestones, this tool gives you the flexibility to do it all.
All right. Thank you, Johan, for that presentation. That was really good and really clearly illustrates how the system can allow for easy, friction-free payments, complete control over the processing fees, and from different areas of the TMS where anywhere you can apply a credit card. So before moving on to the next topic, I did want to bring something up. Derek in the chat had a really good comment about the about carrier scorecards and about it being important that we don't make it a hard stop. I just want to make sure that that's clear, that it is an optional function. In some cases, some brokers have expressed the want to have that there and really put a hard stop to capture that information, but it is entirely optional. That can be set up in a different stage. And as Tim mentioned, workflow automation does work with it, so you can also add workflow automations to go capture that at a later time. So thanks for that. Thanks for that commentary. All right, so let's move on to our next feature, which is the GLS Supplemental Insurance. And this update brings the same trusted insurance flow that we have with LTL over to the truckload side of the application, and it adds features that are designed for the truckload workflow. We've had a lot of success with that feature, and we've had a lot of success with the feature on the LTL side. And so, Tim, I'll ask you, what did it take to bring that same experience over to the truckload side of the application?
Yeah, so there's a couple changes that have happened, but the main thing is the deductibles. So it's pretty common in the truckload space for the amount of insurance needed to be a lot higher than the LTL side. And so obviously deductibles can play an important role in how much coverage you're getting, but also how much you're paying for that coverage. So it was really important that in order to successfully launch the ability to buy real-time certificates on truckload, that we had that dynamic deductible functionality built in. And so you'll notice this on both LTL and truckload now, but you'll have the ability to change the deductible and the declared value that you're purchasing insurance for, which ultimately will affect the price that you get for the policy that you're buying. So it's the same insurance you've always had access to on LTL, just expanded to truckload. Obviously, the limits of liability are a little bit higher on truckload. I believe the number is up to $1 million on truckload, where I think on LTL it might be like 300,000. Another thing that's going to be a little less obvious through this, but just a nice infrastructure improvement, is API versioning. So the technology behind the insurance tool that we have was upgraded to the latest version of APIs, which had some nice backend support for everything that we were doing as well.
Nice. Okay, so it's easy, it's frictionless. It's now available on truckload, so LTL and truckload are supported. Basically, it's just enter declared value and the deductible, and the system automatically will, prevent invalid configurations of that.
Just to add to that real quick, Daniel.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, you kind of started on it, but I almost forgot to mention, there's also a little bit of intelligence built into the deductible options, so that it is impossible to buy a policy that basically is null because the deductible is higher than the declared value. That might sound crazy, but it's something that happened and something that had to get remedied all the time. The system will no longer let you, before you couldn't change the deductible amount, but not only can you change it, you can't select the deductible that's higher than the policy. There's a threshold built in to just make sure that you're always buying coverage and you're not accidentally buying something that isn't going to help you.
Exactly. Right on. All right. So, Johan, let's check this one out.
Let's take a look at GLS Supplemental Insurance integration and how easy it is to add insurance to your shipments right inside the TMS. We'll walk through two examples, one for LTL and one for truckload, so that you can see how it works in both cases. We'll start with an LTL shipment. Once you've generated a smart quote and your rates appear, look at the right-hand side. You'll see two options: select without insurance and select with insurance. Click Select with Insurance to open the Supplemental Insurance module. From here, you can begin entering the insurance information. The insurance provider will always be QBE Group in this case. Next, choose your declared commodity. This should match what you've entered for the shipment. Then enter your declared value. The minimum is $10,000 and set your deductible, which defaults to $1,000. You can also specify if the goods are new or used, and you'll see your buy, which is what you're paying for the insurance, and the sell, what you'll invoice your customer. And you'll also see a quote number. Now let's talk about how declare value and deductible work together. It is important to know that your deductible cannot be higher than your declare value. To help with this, we've added a safeguard in the system. Let's say your declare value is $10,000 and you try to set a deductible of $15,000. As soon as you do that, the system will automatically increase the declare value to 20% higher than the deductible. So in this case, it will adjust to $18,000. This ensures the insurance is valid and provides coverage. And when the declare value updates, the buy and sell amounts will be recalculated automatically. You can manually increase the declare value up to $300,000, but the deductible will only change if it is higher than the declare value. All right, so once all your information is entered, click Save. You'll see an insurance leg added to the shipment with QBE Group listed as the owner and your buy and sell amounts displayed. Now let's switch to truckload shipment. In truckload, you typically do not generate a smart quote. You might select the carrier manually from history, a load board, or DFM integration. Once you selected a carrier, go to the Edit Shipment screen and click Add Supplemental Insurance. This opens the same insurance module as before. Select QBE Group as the insurance company, choose your declared commodity, and then set your declared value and deductible. Again, the same safeguard applies. Your deductible cannot exceed the declared value. If it does, we'll adjust it automatically. Once you save the insurance, an insurance leg will be created for the shipment. Now we're gonna go ahead and save this shipment, and then from the shipment details page, we're going to scroll down to the insurance leg, and then you will see the purchase insurance option. Clicking this will generate an insurance certificate and add it to the shipment documents. Something that happens automatically when you select supplemental insurance for a shipment is that an insured alert is added, so you can filter and monitor insured shipments. Also, a reference number is added to the shipment showing the declared value. These additions can power workflow automation. For example, you can assign insured shipments or high value shipments to a specific team for closer handling. Let's return to our LTL shipment to highlight one more thing. In LTL, you do not have to manually purchase insurance. Since you quoted and saved the insurance during rating, the system will automatically purchase the insurance for you when you dispatch the shipment. Dispatching in this case means setting the status to ready. When that happens, the system will send the pickup request to the carrier and purchase the insurance at the same time, attaching the certificate to the shipment documents. And that's how GLS Supplemental Insurance works in Tai. Quick and easy, fully integrated so you can protect your shipments with confidence.
All right, so thank you for that presentation. The key thing here is that no more missed insurance opportunities with truckload. We've been hearing that quite a bit from our customer base, and want to make sure that we can offer the same ease of use that we have on the LTL side over to truckload. So I'm glad that we were able to bring that out and make it available. So moving on to our last feature presentation here, we'll be talking about the consolidated invoicing. And invoicing workflows, they tend to vary from customer to or from broker to broker, and also they can be very specific where you have a situation where a shipper has a very unique invoicing process that they want to follow, and sometimes they just want everything consolidated into one invoice. And then so what I've been hearing a lot is people at the end of the day need to make it happen, and so they'll create workarounds in the system to go and handle that. So very happy to introduce this feature, as it's been a while. People have been asking for this one, so I'm glad that we can finally deliver this one, and just excited to be able to provide this. Tim, I would ask you, what does this unlock for accounting teams that they couldn't easily necessarily do before?
Yeah, I think one thing we've learned is that a lot of accounting teams, work a little bit differently and have different requirements. And one of the things you mentioned that I think really is the core of what made this become available is you can call it customer compliance. So we're being asked for a version of this because we have customers that demand this. And so by unlocking this, you now have the ability to serve that customer and meet their needs from within the TMS instead of trying to come up with a solution outside the TMS on your own.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's check it out. Johan, if you can go ahead and fire that one.
All right, now let's talk about consolidated invoicing. Consolidated invoicing, just like the name suggests, lets you combine multiple shipments into a single invoice, kind of like a master invoice. This is especially used when a customer requests just one invoice for multiple shipments instead of receiving one for each. You still have the option to invoice shipments individually, but if your customer prefers a single invoice for multiple loads, that's now something you can do in the TMS. So let's walk through how to create a consolidated invoice. From the accounting tab, head over to the create invoice page. Here you can filter for a specific customer. For this example, we'll use Marine Solutions. Once we've searched and found a couple of shipments for this customer, we can go ahead and select 2 or more. Once you selected the shipments, the bulk operation option appears, and with it, the consolidate invoice options. Click consolidate invoice and the system will process the request. The selected shipments will disappear from the create invoice page as they are now part of a consolidated invoice. To view the newly created invoice, let's head over to the invoice delivery page. We're going to filter again by our customer Marine Solution just to keep things simple. You'll notice that under the shipment ID column, instead of a shipment number, it says consolidated. That's how you know this is a consolidated invoice. Let's open the invoice to see what it looks like. The invoice layout will look familiar. You'll have access to the invoice date, invoice number, invoice due date, invoice past due, payment status, payment amount, the balance due, and the amount total, which is the combined invoice amount for the invoices that you consolidated. And at the bottom of the invoice, you'll see a list of shipment IDs that were consolidated along with each shipment invoice amount. If any of the shipments included a POD, those will also be attached as part of the invoice file. When you email the invoice, those PODs will be bundled in and sent to the customers as an additional document in a single file. From here, you can download or email the consolidated invoice just like any other invoice. This manual workflow gives you flexibility when the customer requests consolidated invoicing. Now, one last thing to mention. The consolidated invoice uses a special template. You can customize the template by going to Content Templates and searching for Consolidated Invoice. It pulls from the master template, and from here, your HTML expert can tweak it as needed to meet your company's formatting or branding requirements. And that's how consolidated invoicing works in the TMS. Simple, clean, and a great option for customers who prefer a streamlined invoicing process.
So I like that. Exactly. Streamlined invoicing process. And again, keeping with the concept of flexibility, that's really what we're looking to accomplish here with the with this new feature. Tim, any closing thoughts?
Well, first, I just want to say, thank you to everyone that took time out of your day to join us. It's been kind of cool watching the attendance counter throughout the call. I think at one point we had 90 people in the call, and then here we are at the end wrapping it up, and there's still like 75 people here. So just want to thank everybody for taking the time to check this out and to see what we've been up to. We're super excited about these features, rolling these features out. This system flexibility thing is exciting, it's powerful, and we really think it's going to change the way you use our TMS. So thanks again for being here. Looking forward to any questions that are coming in after we're done here, and just awesome stuff. And don't worry, we're not stopping. We've got a lot of stuff going on already for Q2, and looking forward to seeing everyone at our summit later this year.
All right, Chris.
No, it really is fun to show this to you guys because we've spent a lot of work on all this stuff, and we've had a lot of people asking for these kind of things. So it's really cool to see it all coming together so in such a short time period to get it out to you guys. Hopefully we'll see you guys at the summit and we'll have more to talk about.
Well, yeah, thank you everyone that joined and everyone that was participating in the chat. That was really good questions, and push those questions to us, man. Harder questions, we'll take those too. We really enjoy what we do. Very passionate about TMS, about freight brokerage, and so looking forward to seeing everyone at the summit and continuing these discussions and continue to elevate the brand and elevate the TMS. And hopefully with all of that, we're elevating our brokers to be the best that they can be. So thank you everyone for joining today, and look forward to all that we can do together. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.